Well, today is September 25th, and this is only part one out of 6 reviews that I did under one day. Part one is basically reviewing 3 days of Stardom's 5-star Grand Prix. We're talking about day 16, 17, and the 18th. As you know, we're getting closer and closer to the end. This is something we definitely got to pay attention more. Who is still in the lead? Who is out? Who most likely could be heading towards the finals? And of course, that's one of the main reasons. And I'm kind of excited to do this one just for everyone. Now, the second part, I will not reveal what it is until I do that video. But on this particular one, I also want to make this on record. There will be no news updates because I want to focus on these 3 particular days of Stardom's 5-star Grand Prix. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with day 16 of Stardom's 5-star Grand Prix. This one is on the 18th of September. It opened up with tag team action. We have stars consistent of Momo Koko and Saida taking on Queen's Quest, Lady C, and Utami Ishida. Now, if you guys notice on this particular match, Lady C did not have her gown. She mentioned on her Twitter page that she forgot it, and of course, Utami told her to tag with her anyway. Despite the fact she pulled it off, but in this particular match, it was in fact Utami Ishida who picked up the win by applying the German suplex onto Saida, giving Queen's Quest the win. Now, our match for the 5-star Grand Prix starts with Red Star Block. We have Unagi Sayaka versus Koguma. Now, as you guys been aware recently, we have Unagi hasn't had the best track record in this year's 5-star Grand Prix due to the fact that she is currently only 2 points with 1 win in particular. But however, she has to stay more vigilant with Koguma. As you know, she is known as the high-speed genius. She likes to play certain type of ways to ensure the win, and of course, it did work in her favor when she applied the Kuma roll. 1, 2, 3. She wins the match, and of course, getting her little name that was attached to her costume. So right now, I think in this part, Koguma only has 5 wins with 10 points, with 4 losses. As for Nagi, well, she only has 1 win and a lot of losses in this particular tournament. I believe, yeah. So she most likely already out of the tournament, regardless, but she intends to finish it all the way through. Next up is more on the Red Star block. We have Saki from Colors and Cosmic Angels taking on DDM's Mai Sakurai. Now, here's a really interesting fact about this match. These two ladies know each other too well. If you guys have been aware or been following, Saki and Mai Sakurai came from the same promotion. Now, Mai Sakurai left Actress Girls last year. This is prior before they made the choice to switch to theater wrestling instead. Saki, on the other hand, left the promotion late last year as well. I think Mai Sakurai was on the verge. We all know the history. But this time, Mai Sakurai felt like she wanted to take payback from the accidental elbow strike that she had with Saki during the practice. And basically, she even tried to play her, desperately to win the match. That's exactly what she tried, but apparently it did not work. Keep in mind, Saki has more experience to her. Now, Mai Sakurai may have been trained well by Julia, but when it comes to Saki, you know for a fact she never gives up, but she does have some high power kicks. But her main weapon was the Kawhi Brainbuster, and that's what sealed the deal. So right now, in this particular moment, Saki only has 10 points with 5 wins and 4 losses. As for Masakurai, she has only not 9 points with 4 wins, uh, 6 losses, and 1 draw. So from what I can tell, she possibly may not make it all the way through to the finals or so, or win it to the end. But she did pretty well on this tournament as well. Now switching to the next block, we have the Blue Star block. We have Starlight Kid versus Mina Shirakawa. Now, in the last few times, we have seen Mina Shirakawa be a more methodical than ever. Trying to attack the knee or any other way to apply. But however, Starlight Kid, who's determined to make it through, she is driven to win, go all the way to the finals, but also to reach her ultimate goal is to surpass Mayu Iwatani. That is her main goal that she has been looking for. And of course, she applied the infamous tiger leg kill, where she used it as a submission. That's the primary submission she has been using a lot recently. So she won in that fashion, and I believe Starlight Kid right now only has 10 points with 5 wins and 3 losses. Mina only with six points with 3 wins and 5 losses. Next match we have Ami Sodi versus Julia. I have to say it was a pretty good match because we've seen how strong these two ladies are. The only difference is Ami Sodi is from God's Eye, who is showing how strong they are. Julia, who is trying to reach her ultimate goal to win the red belt. That's her primary goal. But she has a few more matches to win. So she did apply her one of her moves, Bianca, that sealed the deal, giving her next 2 points. And I believe right now Julia has 13 points, so she is not that far behind from Azuki, who currently has 14 points. As for Ami Sudi, she has 10 points, so she only has 5 wins and 5 losses. So she most likely could try to make it through if she wins her next few matches. Now, our next match, which is part of the Blue Star block, we have Mirai versus Saya Kamitani. Now, these two ladies have already dealt with each other before, but this was dating back a few months ago when Mirai challenged Saya Kamitani for the white belt, and I believe that match took place. I'm trying to remember when. I think I may not remember. I think it was in April or so, but yeah, or May, one of the two. So anyway, this is the first time in those times too. But however, if Mirai does pick up the win, there was a possibility she could get another opportunity if she pinned Saya Kamitani. But unfortunately, time ran out when they reached their time limit draw. So each person gets a point. So right now, I believe Mirai currently has 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 points. I believe, yeah, 13 points with 6 wins, 3 losses, and a draw. As for Saya Kamitani, 6 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. So currently she has 13 points as well. So she's tied with Mirai, and I think Julia's the same thing too. Now our next match, we goes back to the Red Star block. We have Risa Sera versus Tam Nakano. Now, to be honest with you, this was a match I was kind of curious about. Not because I'm a fan of Tam Nakano. If you guys have been aware about this, we know Risa Sera. She is the most craziest individual, as she is basically involved in death matches. Tam Nakano, in her past history, was involved in death matches before. Who could forget that infamous match with the exploding baseball bat with Io Shirai versus Oda Tai? And I think that's the thing. So Risa Sera was looking forward mostly to this match, but her mind is, of course, is against Julia. And I think this match showed that Risa Serra is dangerous, but no matter what Tam Nakano did, it would only stop there for a short time until now. She could not apply the Tiger Suplex. She couldn't apply the Violet Screwdriver. But however, she was able to apply the Andromeda, and that sealed the deal for her to win. So she gets her points. I believe right now Tam Nakano has 12 points with 6 wins and 2 losses. Risa Serra only has uh, 11 points with 5 wins and 3 losses and a draw. So that's what we got. Now, our main event, we have Zuzu Suzuki versus Momo Watanabe. Now, I was mostly looking forward to this for one particular reason. We all know Momo Watanabe, what she does. She has that little wrench thingy in her shin in hopes that it will put out Zuzu Suzuki, but however, that did not happen. Basically, the ref caught her twice, and of course, I liked it when Zuzu whacked Momo right in the back of the head, in her back, but also take out Starlight Kid. And I thought it was a very impressive match. But it did allow her, with the ref not seeing, she used that wrench right back at Momo, giving her the tequila shot, but it did not work. But of course, her final weapon was the German suplex, which sealed the deal. And I believe with Zuzu, she only gained 6 points with 4 losses, with 3 wins and 2 losses. As for Momo, only she has like around the same points as her. But what I did find interesting at the end of this event is the fact is Zuzu is the first prominent member to ever close the show. But she did made a very interesting announcement. She told Starlight Kid that they're going to make up the match that they should have had from the very beginning. Now, if you guys remember, their match was part of the opening round, but however, due to the fact that Zuzu was contracted the coronavirus, was unable to do so, so they decided to postpone that match, and now that match is going to happen. And the only time spot they can give them is on Stardom in Showcase Volume 2. So I'm looking forward to that because it's going to be interesting to see. So I think that's pretty much it with Day 16. I believe it's time for Day 17 of the 5-Star Grand Prix. Okay, we're now in Day 17, September 19th, on the 5-Star Grand Prix by Stardom. It opened up with a 3-way tag match. We have team number 1, Starlight Kid and Momo Watanabe of Oda Tai, versus Ami Suri and Mirai of God's Eye, versus Lady C and Sayakami Tani of Queen's Quest. Now, anything could go in this type of match. Anything could go in a different direction. Now, you probably wouldn't expect a whole lot in this type of match because, as you know, anything could change. However, it was, of course, a somewhat of a spinning suplex by Ami Sori that put away Lady C. Now, as you know, Lady C is kind of the weakest link out of everyone in this match, so it fit better for God's Eye to win the match. But this one was done by none other than Ami Suri. I would have assumed it would have been Mirai, but no, it did not. Now, our first match, starting from the Red Star block of the Grand Prix, we have a DDM showdown: Mai Sakurai versus Maika. Now, keep in mind, recently we did see Mai Sakurai defeated Maika. As you know, some of you probably would have thought there's no way she could beat Himeka because, you know, she's her senior. That's true. However, this is a different situation with Maika. Maika is more dangerous than Himeka. Despite the fact that Himeka is a powerhouse group, Maika is a much different breed of powerhouse, if you guys ever seen her. But as you know, her main weapon that normally has her win her match is, of course, the Michinoku driver. That did not happen. Apparently, Maika decided to change her strategy to use a different move, so she applied the Enka Otoshi. That finished the deal for her, giving her next point. So basically, right now, Micah only has 7 wins with 14 points. 14 points with 3 losses. As for Mai Sakurai, I believe she is still stuck at 9 points. So, yes. Now, our next match, we have, of course, Unagi Sayaka taking on Azumi. Now, as you know, Azumi is one of the fastest individuals. That's why she's the high speed champion. It would have been a suiting way for her. Now, Unagi has to be more careful what she did, but however, I'm assuming she would have known that the sushi, the Azumi sushi was going to be played. Nope, it reversed it at least a couple of times in order for her to win. So Azumi won the match, and right now, from here on out, she has 1, 2, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 points with 7 wins and 2 losses. And Unagi, well, we know she only stuck with 2. Now our next match is back to the Blue Star block. We have Suzuki versus Mina. Now these two ladies have confront each other before at Flashing Champions. If you guys remember, she was involved in that trios match where Zuzu teamed up with members of course, Prominence. What's her name? Akane Fujita and Mochi Natsumi, taking on Mina, Unagi, and Waka. But however, this is the first singles match. You would have assumed that Mina would have held on long as she did. However, it did not work in her favor due to the fact that it was the German suplex once again that sealed the deal for Zuzu. And I think Zuzu currently right now went from, she gained 2 points with a total of 10 with 4 wins and 4 losses. So she's catching up, as you probably can guess. As for Mina, she is currently stuck with 6 points with 3 wins and 6 losses. Now back to the Red Star block, we have Momo Kogo taking on Tam Nakano. Now Momo has admired Tam for a long time. As you know, she wished Tam never would have left Stars, but we know her history, why she did it. So it was a very interesting dynamic. Now keep in mind, Momo has a different breed. She is a bit of a high speedster, but not as good as she doesn't have that same kind of fast pace as Azumi. But of course, it was Tam Nakano with the Tiger Suplex that sealed the deal, giving her her next 2 points, and Tam went up to 14 points. So she is catching up great. She is one of those that consider that she could win the tournament. So we'll see what happens. As for Momokogo, she only has roughly 2 points. So basically, she could be out already. Next match, we have Risa Serra taking on Koguma. Now, if you know this or not, Risa Serra, it knows Koguma too well. Risa Serra hasn't been in Stardom for a long time, but however, you know that she wasn't going to play games with Koguma. Because the way I look at Risa Serra, she's here to destroy anybody, and that's always been her MO. And I think that's the one thing that Koguma does not understand. She's not. Risa Serra is not there to play games, but fortunately, Koguma ended up on the wrong side of the diving double knee drop, giving Risa Serra her next 2 points. So she gained, she had the total points of 13 points with 6 wins, 3 losses, and a draw. As for Koguma, she currently has just 5 wins with 5 losses. Yeah. Now, our main event, we have Saki of Colors / Cosmic Angels taking on Utami Ayashida. This is the first time they ever encountered each other. They have encountered each other in that 8-person tag match that took place back in July. If you guys remember, it was Saki along with Ikari Shimizu and Mina and Unagi took on Queen's Quest. So this was a different breed. However, you would have assumed it would have been a big powerhouse between these two, but unfortunately, it was the German suplex that sealed the deal for Utami Ayashida to finish Saki, giving her 2 points. So right now, I think Utami has about 12 points, so she's a little behind. But as for Saki, she only has 10 points. So basically, she did state it in a post-match comments that she was out of the tournament, that sort of thing, but she's intending to finish it off. But Utami did say that she would like to wrestle her again, so it was a lot of fun for her. So so I thought this event was pretty good. Only one uh, match from the Blue Star, which was really interesting. I didn't see any other ones involved, you know, because I see only like in the opening match with that three-way, majority were involved in that. I'm like, wow, I can't believe that didn't happen. So yeah, so let's move on to the final review with the Stardom five-star Grand Prix with day 18. So let's do that right now. Okay, day 18 of the five-star Grand Prix by Stardom. They went back to Korakuen Hall, which is an amazing time to see. It opened up with the Blue Star block. We have Zuzu Suzuki taking on Hanan. Now, this particular match, you probably can guess, this was going to be a very much of an easy cake for Zuzu. It kind of did. She did apply once again the German suplex. For the point system right now, we have, of course, Zuzu with 12 points catching up. As you know, I mentioned this. She only has 5 wins and 4 losses. Hanan, she is currently winless. No wins whatsoever. All her matches have been losses. Now, after this match, they announced the big announcement that I mentioned about Kairi, who will be entering as the third entrant in the IWGP Women's Championship tournament in the international bracket. So I don't need to talk about that more. Now we continue on with the Blue Star block. We have Saya Ida of taking on Natsupoi. So I thought this was a very interesting match because these women are very short. But the only thing you should know, Saya Ida is a strong lady for her size. However, Natsupoi, she's a bit more faster. But one thing I felt bad is Natsupoi took all those chops. Even after her match, she showed the redness there. But she was able to apply the fairy ring on Saya Ida to give her 2 points. So right now, Natsupoi, I believe she has 12 points with 6 wins and 4 losses. As for Saida, 2 wins and 8 losses. So most likely she is already out of the tournament. Now we go straight to the Red Star block. Next one we have Saki versus Momo Kogo, someone else who we all know. But here's another interesting fact that I just found out. Saki, on the other hand, earlier in the day of this particular time, she was actually in a wrestling match facing Momotani. Now, if you guys don't know, Momotani is another Momo that Momo Kogo used to hang out back in the day before she went to Stardom. And ironically, Saki pulled the same move on both Momos in one day, which is funny. Now, Momo does know Saki too well because I think Momo was part of the Colors brand with Saki. So basically, you probably can guess it. But the smart move that I think Saki did not do is she didn't apply the Kawaii Buster because that's always been her main weapon. And I'm sure Momo would have, of course, figured it out. But she pulled off a somewhat version of a Blue Thunder Bomb or something. I don't know. Something like that, similar. But it did give her 2 points. So Saki right now, she currently has 12 points with 6 wins and 4 losses. Momokogo, well, she only has 1 win with 8 losses. Now, our next match we have, oh my god, these two ladies are the most craziest ones in the high speed world, Koguma and Azumi. Now, you probably would have anticipated what they would do. However, Koguma, she is the type of person who likes to play games. Azumi had to chase her all the way to the back, and there was a scene that it's not even shown during the event where you can see them going through the hallways while Koguma tries to run from her. But it did help. But of course, it was they did some shades back on Flight to the Top. If you guys remember, they played a little Junkin, but that didn't work. But it was, of course, the Kumi roll that finished off Azumi, giving Koguma the 2 points. So right now, Koguma has about 12 points with 6 wins and 5 losses. Azumi, I think she's still 14 points with four losses and 7 wins. So she's good right now. Now our next match we have Risa Sera versus Saki Kashima. Now Risa Sera, it doesn't trust Saki Kashima. We all know how sneaky she can be. She's trying to finish off her opponents in 17 seconds, but it did not work. But what's funny is I like how she spinned her around in circles, hoping that was going to seal her, but apparently it did not. But of course, Saki, who is very, very clever when it comes to pinning her opponent, she pulled off the Kishikase, and she gained her 2 points. So she has uh, 12, no, yeah, 10 points with 5 wins and 5 losses. As for Risa Sera, I think she has 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 points with 1 draw, 4 losses, and 6 wins. So yeah. Now our next match is back to the Blue Star block. We have Starlight Kid versus Mirai. Now this was a very interesting match because Starlight Kid is even taunting, doing that clap that Mirai does every time. You would have assumed that Mirai would have won. To be honest with you, that would have been the simpler explanation. But no, she even Starlight Kid applied many submission moves in order to disorient Mirai, but it was of course the Tiger Suplex that sealed the deal, for the win. So right now, I think Starlight Kid has about she has 12 points, so she's catching up as much as possible. And as for Mirai, she is still stuck with 13 points. Now our next match, I think we're still with the Blue Star block. Now this one's a very much interesting match. We have Mina Shirakawa taking on Saya Kamitani. Now, the only reason I say it was interesting because if you guys have been following recently, Mina Shirakawa has one goal in mind right now, and that goal is, of course, challenging for the white belt that Saya Kamitani has. And I thought this match was good, and I think there was a lot of improvements she did. But of course, the one thing that sealed the deal was, in fact, when applying the glamorous driver on Saya Kamitani, and she won. And this is a rare moment for Saya Kamitani. She hardly loses at all, but now she lost this match, and there's no doubt in my mind that Mina will somehow get an opportunity, a challenge for the white belt. And I think that's the one thing. But Saya Kamitani should know there's 3 people now who would probably challenge her. One is Starlight Kid, who beat her already, and then of course the second, Suzuki, and then Mina Shirakawa. But the real question is, will Mina get her shot as soon as possible, or she has to wait until something happens? Well, we don't know. We'll see about that later. But as for now, Mina right now has about 8 points with 4 wins and 6 losses. Saya Kamitani, she has 6 wins, 3 losses, and a draw. That's about 13 points right there. Now, our next match, we have, of course, Momo Watanabe taking on Julia. Now, this was another interesting match. As you know, Julia has always played the toughest individual ever. Her goal is mine is still trying to get to the top. But Momo, this is not about, winning the points. It's trying to take out her opponent no matter what. And of course, she applied it with that wrench she did. She used it on her a bunch of times, knocking her out, but until she applied the Peach Sunrise, winning the match. And I think right now Momo, she currently has she has about 8 points, so she's a little behind, but I don't know if she'll catch up. As for Julia, I believe right now she has 13 points. So yeah, so she's good for now. Now the next match is Stars Showdown. We have Azuki versus Mayu Iwatani. Now this was one of those good matches where, of course, who was going to come on top. Now keep in mind, Azuki, she is currently in the lead in this tournament in her block, 14 points. Mayu Iwatani, she's not that far behind, and I think that's what sets the whole thing out. And I think it shows. Now, many people believe that Azuki should have been continue on, but no, it was of course the moonsault press by Mayu Iwatani that gave her the win, and I think that's pretty good. So she right now, Mayu has about 13 points with 6 wins, 3 losses, and a draw. As for Azuki, well, she's still the same, 4 losses with 7 wins. So we don't know how her last few matches was going to be, but we'll find out soon enough. Now our next and final match is of course Tam Nakano versus Sudi. Now these two ladies haven't seen each other since the Midsummer's champions in Nagoya. As you know, Tam challenged for the red belt. Now this is an important match. If Tam wins, she could most likely proceed to win try to reach the finals as possible. But however, she also has another factor. If it was possible, if she pins Sudi, she gets another opportunity. But Tam actually applied every move possible to take out Sudi. She even applied the violet screwdriver. It did not do any well. But however, um, Sudi applied the grand armbar on her, putting her unconscious. She looks more like she was in hell. Even like she couldn't, like she was disoriented, like she had no clue where she was. And as soon as she realized that the match was over, but of course she's too far. Her goal is right now is to win the red belt. That's one of her goals that she needs to accomplish. But of course Sudi, she doesn't believe she will ever make it. Now keep in mind, Julia did the same thing to her with the wipeout. So what makes Sudi think that she'll never win it? It took 3 times for Tam to win the white belt. Don't be so certain that it'll keep on repeating. So we'll see what happens then. But keep in mind, in this particular tournament for our point system, Sudi right now has 14 points. She's determined to win this tournament in order for her to pick her opponent. But however, Tam currently has about uh, 14 points as well. So basically, she put that dead in her tracks. So she only has 2 more matches after this. So day 19 and all the way to October 1st. So we'll see what happens then. So I think we should call it a day from here. Well, hope everybody enjoyed this episode. I hope everybody likes that I reviewed these particular Stardom events. I'm still waiting for day 19 and of course the latest event, uh, showcase number 2, which some interesting matches that took place. Coming up for our next episode, which is part 2 of it, we have Choco Pro 258, which will feature for the last time we see Yuna Mizumori before we see her in that big event taking place on the 29th of this month, Tropical Night. Then of course we got the latest Gleech show, G Pro Wrestling version 5, where we have of course the G-Rex title being defended, and then finally New Japan Pro Wrestling with Burning Spirit, with 3 championship matches being on the line: the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles, the Never Openweight Championship, and of course we cannot forget the IWGP United States Heavyweight title. And of course we will be talking about what has been going on in the world of pro wrestling in our news updates. So about right now, I'm going to say I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.